Hey guys, so this is just a follow-on video, part of the Trapping 101 series that I was doing by request from one of my viewers. I went back and checked his name. It was Jeff the Moldy. So shout out to Jeff. Anyway, so this part of the series is going to be going over your lures. Because now, yeah, if you've been following the series, which I take it you will, because you're a smart goober you are, you've been watching and you'll see what traps are allowed. You'll now know how to get your permits and your access. All right. So by this stage, you should be, sort of clued up. You know what you can and can't do. You know what you can and can't use to catch them, but you don't know how to bring them in. So this is the next step, which is where this comes in. This is a big old pre-made tub of lure that I made myself. You don't want a bucket about this big with a nice lid on it if you're going to get into this stuff quite seriously, because you're going to fly through this, all right? You're going to fly through it like it's nothing. But now in this bucket is straight up powder-based possum lure. It's the main form of lure that I use. In fact, it's the only lure I use these days. And it consists of some real basic, simple ingredients, guys. You're going to go down to your local supermarket. You're going to get you a bag of this. Now, this one's only for show purposes. I actually pinch this out of my partner's cupboard. She uses this for making caddies. I buy it in bulk. I couldn't be bothered going outside to go grab the bulk stuff, so this will suffice. But it's the same. You can get plain or high grade. I actually use 50-50 mix of the high grade and the plain stuff. Alright, and so to that you're going to want to add in some of this, and you can do it to your own liking. Alright, there's no real reason, requirements around how much or how little to use, but there is personal preference. Alright, so this is just your basic icing sugar. Things to keep in mind with the icing sugar, right? The reason we add the icing sugar into the flour, or the reason we even use the flour, is possums like things like carbohydrates. They're also attracted by their natural curiosity, attracts them to shiny things. Flour at night time reflects the moonlight, and so they see the white. And they go, oh, what's that? That's cool. And they go up, they'll smell it, and they'll taste it. And they realize it's carbs. It's good for loading them full of carbs, so they'll eat it. The reason we add the icing sugar is because it adds a little bit of sweetness. They pick that sweetness up in the nose. And they, oh, I like that. And they'll go in and they'll eat it a little longer. And it forms a bit of a paste in the mouth, you see, and then they sort of gummies up in the mouth, and they'll spit it out a little bit, and then they'll nibble it again. And just keeps them there a little longer, really. The only downside to using too much icing sugar is they're not the only things that like the icing sugar. You'll catch a lot of rats. Rats love sugar. All right, now catching rats is not a bad thing from a conservation and an environmental standpoint. That's awesome. Like if you catch rats, give yourself a pat on the back. Sure, okay, they don't pay you, but you're still doing some good for the area. So you watch how much you add in, because too much will attract rats, and you'll start catching more rats than you will possums. Okay, so that's the base of your powder mix, is your icing sugar and your flour. And now to that, all right, you can use it on your own, but you're not going to get the best results. To that, you need something with a little bit more odor, something that they're going to walk along and really smell and really be interested. You've got a few options there. There's a range of things that you can use. In the past, I've used aniseed. Aniseed's good, but I'm not a fan of the aniseed, personally because of the smell. I just don't like the smell of aniseed myself. It drives me up the bloody wall. So you can use aniseed. You can use cinnamon. You can use... There's a whole range of things. I know of one fellow who puts peanut butter on trees. Little daub on the tree and inside a bait box, which I'll go over in a minute as well, bait boxes. I don't use them currently. I have used them before, and I may even go back to using them. They kind of depend on the area and what you're doing. So anyway, before we go too far off track, your additive that you're going to add for your scent, you want something that's going to smell really good. And so for me, that is, like I keep saying, is just ground cinnamon. Just a bag of ground cinnamon. You're not going to chuck the whole bag in there, all right, because you knock yourself out with the stench. But you're going to chuck in probably a quarter to a third of this packet into a bucket this size. Okay, guys? So it does really last, right? And so, yeah, you're going to take roughly 2 bags the size of this flour to 1 bag of the icing sugar to about a quarter of one of these, all right? That's your powder-based lure. Your other alternatives, if you don't want to go down the powder route, is liquids. You can buy things like liquid lure. I've run out, and I'm struggling to find more of this exact stuff. But this is again with cinnamon scented. But it's just a liquid. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can take a couple of drops and you can add it to this bucket with either some powdered cinnamon or just on its own and give it a good old stir in, and it'll stink the place up. It'll do its job. However, if you're going to add moisture into a powder, you can't store it long term because it'll go funky on you, okay? The other way you can use this stuff is to dilute it. You take like a little spray bottle, you know, like your Ajax or Windex or whatever, and you repurpose one. Make sure it's clean, hasn't got any other crap in it. You want it to be nice and clean. Even just go to the bloody $2 shop and go buy your little bottle. You just put a bit of this with a bit of water and you dilute it. And then you use bait boxes, all right? Now, when you're using bait boxes and a liquid, you still want this mix that's in this bucket here, but you don't need any scent in it. Just a little bit of flour and a little bit of icing sugar mixed together for your powder. And you're going to blaze that up the tree. You're going to take something like a milk bottle, just your little 2-litre milk bottle, and you're just going to cut basically the bottom off of it and stick it to the tree sideways. And it just makes this little cubby. And in that cubby, you can take your liquid spray and spray it up into the top, on an angle, up into the top of the back of that box, and just 2 little sprays. It'll run down and form a little puddle, a little thing there. It just gives them something to, you know, it really stinks on the wind, and it gives them something different to try. If they're not interested in the powder so much, they might go for the bait box. And where you put your bait box, again, bait boxes depend on where you're trapping. Okay, guys, go back and see my rules and regulations video. But where you put your bait box, in regards to where your trap is sitting, can also help in not only bringing in other possums, but some of those possums aren't interested in the flower, like they may have been caught before. That bait box might just nail them. You'll be in there having a good old feed on the bait box and stand on your trap instead. So that's another way you can do it, is yeah, with the liquid. You can either add liquid straight in, or you can use it as a straight up liquid in a bait box. So yeah, that basically covers the basics. I mean, that's where I would start. That's where I started in terms of lures back in the day when I was a young fella. Yeah, was using this exact recipe that I use now, and over the years I've tried different things. I don't remember a lot of them because they weren't very good. I just went back to what I found works the best, and it's just the cinnamon, guys. They love the cinnamon. Not to mention cinnamon's pretty cheap. It goes on special sometimes, but got 2 of these the other day for like $4. So, you know, works out pretty cheap. Stick to the specials. Take your saver cards into the supermarket with you, and yeah, and buy things in bulk. Like I said, this is only for the demonstration purposes. This is the size of the cinnamon I buy, but this is by far not the flour I buy. When I buy flour, I buy in 5 to 10 kilo bags at a time, simply because it works out far cheaper. And when I say I buy in bulk, I buy 20 to 40 kilos of flour at a time. Why? Because it's cheaper. It works out cheaper, and it's always there. It's always on hand. Same with the icing sugar. I don't buy them when they're on sale at 1 bag like this. I wait till they got the slightly bigger bags, and they do the, you know, like the 2 for whatever deals and that stuff. Yeah, go and buy a heap of it then. As long as you don't puncture the bags and stuff and you keep it, it stores forever. Like, it might have an expiry date on it. If it expires, don't eat it. Possums don't care, they'll eat it. So, you know, that's another thing too. If your girlfriend's got some old flour in the pantry and she's been making cakes and those cakes taste a little off, confiscate her flour. Use it for catching the possums. You know, and get her some fresh stuff, boys, and then you can have fresh cake. But so yeah, it really is that simple, guys. So anyway, thank you for following along.